Hey, it's me, Narisse, and Angela. She's with me too. Um, for those who don't know, um, I have some performances that I'm working to get to. Um, and I was at a rest stop, or what do you call this? A service area. I should probably call it that. but yeah, I was just having a moment. Because I was following directions and was led somewhere other than where my directions were supposed to lead me to. And I prepared for that, kind of going old school, with a map and such. And I don't know. Maybe there's probably people who already know what it is and been through this and know this storyline because they've already been through it or know somebody that's been through it and just have access to that information. See, for me, sometimes with that in mind, I'm like, is it even worth expressing how I'm feeling in a moment? Because it's like, it's probably going to be expected, or whatever the case may be. But, I don't know. I, I, I know there's times and moments where there's value to what I say and contribute. And I know there's some people that's like, expecting for things to not go well for me. Um, and it's like, oh well, that's what was going to happen when you know you venture out and you know try new things and trust information that's on the internet. And that's the thing. And the thing is, I don't like that's the like, and I knew like it would be a risk, you know. And that's why I was like, fuck it, I'm just gonna try anyway. Because when you're an artist, you want the freedom to express yourself and the freedom to, perform and go for your dreams. And the thing is, like, I grew up in Trenton, New Jersey, which sometimes doesn't even feel like a real place. It just feels like the Twilight Zone. And, you know, I something that I've always strived for was independence and like just going for my dreams and like being on my own and like being on the road and performing and stuff like that. And to be in a space where like, there was a discrepancy with that plan, it's frustrating because like, you know, I've been in that town for years, all my life, and I've always wanted more. And I mean, I've traveled when I was with my dad, and I've always wanted to do solo trips or just like push myself to get out of my comfort zone because I know there's more to this world than what's presented in front of me, you know. I've always wanted to adventure and explore and just try new things and see new people. And it just feels like, sometimes when well, I don't know, maybe other people might not be able to relate to that, so I won't say that. But, it's just if there's anybody that's ever been through a situation where you come from a small town and, you want to explore more and do more, and sometimes like the environment around you just kind of tries to keep you down and keep you stagnant and keep you stuck in this same loop of looking at the same people do the same thing and the same walk and the same clothes. And and God forbid you want something different. God forbid you want more for yourself. God forbid, you know and today's Easter, speaking of God, today's Easter. um and I've been like really heavily like in my faith right now, just like listening to a lot of gospel music and a lot of inspirational stuff. And it's frustrating right now just because, like, but in me saying that, I've been listening to a lot of Hezekiah Walker, and I feel like a lot of his older music, I'm still like learning about him as an artist. And mind you, I'm not like a huge like person into gospel, but I've been listening to a lot of gospel lately because it's been very inspirational, and I've been going through it. And I've been listening to a lot of Hezekiah Walker, and and it's interesting to see like the type of people who get promoted versus the people who don't, and the messages that are in the music of the folks who are like at the top versus the messages in the music of the people who aren't. And I think that says a lot. And and mind you, I could be wrong. Maybe he's like huge in the gospel space, and maybe I'm just like ignorant to that. But even within gospel, like I know that there's like huge people in gospel music, like Yolanda Adams and Kirk Franklin and CC Winans and all those things. And I'm not saying anything about them, but I'm just saying for some, I had never heard of Hezekiah Walker, but maybe somebody that's in the gospel space is familiar with him as an artist. And for me, you know, his music has been very inspirational for me, especially in this moment, just because like all I've ever wanted to do is just like make music and perform, and just like create a life for myself. I I'm not someone that like, well, that's not true. Like, well, okay, that is true, but I was gonna say like, and and simply that. But no, I mean, there's more aspirations that I have, and I already expressed that in another live stream where I talked about, you know, just looking at the things that I accomplished when I was in school versus, now. And the thing is, it might not be like accomplishments, but I've learned and grown so much, and I've evolved a lot as an artist. And, and it's just frustrating when you're in spaces that like hold you back from growing, and and you have to like be in this space where you watch everybody else, soar and do their thing and fly and all those things. But you have to just be complacent, and it's especially frustrating when you see like people like take your ideas and stuff like that, but that's a whole nother conversation. But you know it's just it's unfortunate. And then like the people who like partake in that too, that's a whole nother thing in itself, you know um yeah, it's just it can be frustrating, you know and especially when it's just a matter of like your environment and things that aren't in your control, you know like the people that you grow up around, or the schools that you go to, or your neighborhood, or whatever the case may be. And maybe in those spaces you don't have access or the resources. And the crazy thing is like I I I had decent schooling and education and stuff like that. It's just like once I got out of that, I always felt like I had to work, like I had to get a job so I could make money for myself. And then when I did want to like pursue the dream, the goal, or whatever the case may be, it was always like, I don't know, a struggle. And I mean, and I get it, everybody struggles, but I don't know. For me, I just feel like things were especially difficult. um, but you know, yeah, It's just frustrating sometimes. And just trying to like break out of that um stronghold, you know, and knowing that there's more in the world and you want more and deserve more, you know. And the thing is, and interestingly enough, yesterday when I was like getting my stuff together to prepare for this trip, I was listening to the radio, which I don't normally do, but whatever. And I was listening to this guy just kind of like explain how his life has been after being incarcerated and like integrating back into society. And you know, he had to be on parole, but there was other people that, were just like completely free. And the thing is like he was a Pulitzer winner and he was known for like doing community work and, giving back to the people who have been incarcerated and speaking to his story. And, and he spoke to like experiencing jealousy of people who don't have to deal with being on parole and but also being like an accomplished person. And so for me, like it's I don't even relate to that. I mean, I've never been incarcerated, even though my town feels like a prison. But you know, the thing is, for me, like I wouldn't say it's jealousy, but it's frustrating when you could. It's never like I want something for me and I don't want it for you. Like I should have that and you shouldn't have that. I never feel like that. I feel like you do your thing and you shine and you're dope and I can do my thing too. And I'm great at what I do and I'm talented and we all deserve to hold space. So when I see people doing and accomplishing the things that I've dreamt of doing or desired to do, it's never from a space of jealousy or like being like, oh, I wish to be that person or, I want what they have and not for them. For me, it's like, okay, I could be in that space too. I can acquire those things as well. I could work at those things, long as there's not, anything intending to hold me back. But then again, it's like that experience of like being a Black woman in America. Um, and then everything else that goes along with it, and people that uphold systemic systems. I don't know. It's kind of crazy. It's kind of crazy. It's interesting how people like will judge you for how you handle really complex and complicated situations, and they judge how you handle things and respond to things, and you know, and mock it, you know, and say, oh, that, you know, why must you do this like this, you know, or respond a certain way or whatever the case may be. But then also, meanwhile, participate in upholding those same structures that they're judging you for how you respond to those. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I just feel like, yeah, I don't know. That's how I be feeling when it comes to the world and people in it, and sometimes expressing myself on these platforms. Cause it's like, you know, the same people who would judge you and say, like, oh, you know, judge you for like how you handle situations, don't be having solutions, or be helping or whatever. They'll just watch you struggle and criticize you for how you handle your struggle. And it's like, and mind you, there's so many different things like pulling you in different directions in life, whether it be like bills and responsibilities and people and stuff like that. And, and you're just trying your best And, when people give you a hard time and or people let you down or whatever the case may be, then it's like, ah, see, look at you. It's like, okay, well, I mean, and the thing is, I try to stay neutral in a lot of situations because I really don't be trusting anybody or a lot of people. But my only thing is like, I trust if, you know, I see people doing work or, or actions. I trust through people's actions of showing like, okay, maybe these people are helpful or putting in a good word for me or whatever case may be. And I also try to keep in mind like people aren't perfect and mistakes happen. But then at the same time, I know people be playing in your face, and then it's really diabolical when people balance the two. And it's like, fuck everybody is how I be feeling. Um, in regards to that. And then sometimes, you just gotta like keep pushing forward anyway, you know? Don't mind me. I'm just like people watching. I'm looking at this lady who kind of looks like Angie Stone, which is which is crazy because I was just looking at a video weeks ago. Not weeks ago, but a while ago, you know. Anyway. But hmm, yeah, anyway. But that's not that kind of video. But yeah, and I'm like I still got some traveling to do. I'm just a little bit detoured, I guess. And I'm just like trying to find my way. And last time I got caught up in a winter storm, which is fucking crazy. I guess that was my fault for not checking the weather or whatever the case may be. But um, I ended up having to cancel that event, which was unfortunate. And this time is like frustrating because like, I have directions and I was following the directions and mind you, following pretty well. I might add because I mean, for the most part, it was areas I was familiar with, but I wasn't sure of like which exits or whatever the case may be. So I'm like, all right, cool. But and then now, I'm just like taking a moment to pause. But there's wow, it's interesting to see so many people out in whatever town this is. But yeah. Anyway, I guess my point is that my point is that you know sometimes when you're in environments that try to make you feel small or dim your light or whatever the case may be, it can be discouraging to branch out of that because you are a light and you shine and you have the worthiness of living the life that you want to live. And that's really all I be wanting to do. I know I get on here and I like rant and rave and by design. And I could be opinionated and especially with pop culture and like, politics and celebrities and stuff like that. But I mean, not any different than anybody else that get on here and be saying stuff, but for the most part, like I really just be wanting to live my life and not feel like my life is constructed to be lived for other people, you know. And I feel like that's just like a simple want. It's just like to live life, you know? And then when you got people that try to like stop that shit, or, or people that try to like dumb down or like, you know, hold you back or say, "Oh, you can't do that. You can't go this far." "Oh, you can't um, you know, you can't do this. You have to do this. You have to go this place." You know? And I'm like, "Who the fuck are you to try to limit me?" You know? Like, the fuck do you think you are? And sometimes I be on here and I like talk crazy because I really feel like that. I really feel like, aside from the fact that like people's circumstances and situations be different, like we all are human to some capacity, I guess. I don't know. There's other shit that be going on. But you bleed like I bleed is how I be feeling. Like I be feeling like we all bleed red. Just like how, you know, I feel frustration and hurt and pain. The same people that try to hold you back can feel that shit too. And, the people who doubt you and try to like limit you or think that you're crazy just for like wanting more. And then like try to like create reasons to justify why you shouldn't want more in life or why you deserve to be held back or, you know, barred up or whatever the case may be. I think it's all bullshit. Yeah, that's it. That's all. I want to be more positive. I'm trying, but whatever. Um, the situation is just kind of like fucked up, and I try my best to like not stoop down to people's levels when it comes to like just being frustrated about certain things. But I mean, I feel like it's valid for me to feel the way that I feel, and people with common sense should know that. You know, I don't know. I think it's interesting how people was watch and you know participate in like the limit, the limiting and the manipulation of someone and criticize how they handle it. Meanwhile, knowing it's bullshit. Like, meanwhile, knowing, like, okay, because it's like, y'all know y'all be fucked up. Y'all know y'all are fucked up individuals for participating and going along with the bullshit. Like, y'all know this. And I'm not saying everybody. I'm specifically talking to the people who, do the whole limiting thing. Like y'all act like y'all don't have goals for yourself. And maybe y'all don't. Maybe y'all don't. But you'll see somebody going through something, and you'll see like the circumstances that led up to why they're going through what they're going through. And rather than like creating solutions or trying to help or assist in any way, being a human being that probably has their own desires and goals and aspirations, and maybe judgments that you have been through, and things that, maybe embarrassing moments that you might have had, and people made fun of you and judged you, or whatever the case may be. And then, do that to someone else. you know, I think that's crazy work. I think that's crazy work. You know, I think it's crazy to like go through experiences where like you might have wanted to do something in life or accomplish something, and you probably had people like doubt you or whatever. And then, you see other people do the same thing, and you intentionally make fun of and try to hold them back. I don't know, I think, but issues like that, I mean, because that's unfortunately a common thing. I feel like that has something to do with like a lack of compassion. Like you can have goals and aspirations, but God forbid somebody do something similar or has a similar goal or maybe a similar interest or whatever the case may be. And it's like, no. And it's even to a point like it's so wild where like people will try to halt your life just so they can be in a position where they can do the things that they want to do in their life, and you can't. There's people who will put time and energy and effort mentally, physically, spiritually to drain your energy and try to stop you from reaching your goals and limiting you just so they can go ahead and live their dreams. I don't know. It's pretty wild to me. And some of y'all eat that shit up. Some of y'all that fits the description of some of y'all favorite people, and y'all know who it is, or they, who, whatever. Uh, you know, and I often say like, and I say this specifically as like an independent artist, and seeing people in mainstream spaces like copy my work. And of course, because I only have like however many subscribers on here, it's like, oh, who's watching you? Everybody can be watching me. Fucking everybody. Why wouldn't they? Anyway, that's all I wanted to get on here and say. I don't want to be too lengthy with this, but I just wanted to vent a little bit, and make content. And if it relates to anyone, then you get it. And to people who get it and understand without compromising their integrity and their souls to uphold, you know, systemic oppression. Thank you. I appreciate that. And I say that with politics in mind, thinking about politically what all has been going on in this world, you know. But I'm not getting into all those details. But anyway, um, much love. It's your girl Narice. And yeah, that's it. But to say a word of positivity, may we all break out of any limitations that we all might be experiencing, whether it's anybody that tries to put doubt in your mind or, intentionally lead you astray, or try to hold you down and not hold you down like I got you, hold you down, but like literally try to limit you. May we all break out of those limitations and free ourselves and live the lives that we want and desire and deserve. That's all. Much love. I'll see y'all later.